We are at Marathon Stadium in Newcastle for this round 19 clash in the Telstra Premiership. It's the Newcastle Knights taking on the visiting Melbourne Storm. Let's take a look at the two team cards now and see how they'll take the field. For the Newcastle Knights, as Michael Harrigan told us, no changes to their starting 17. O'Davis once again is the fullback after making his return in recent times from that thumb injury. Rudder and Johns the halves, and the coach, of course, is Michael Harrigan. For the Melbourne Storm, they have a couple of changes to their side. Of course, Matt Geyer going back to fullback moves Fafita Moala onto the wing with Robbie Ross's withdrawal due to that hamstring injury. He will make his return most likely now next week. And also one change in the forward pack. Henry Perenara comes into the lock forward position for Danny Williams, who was out with a knee injury. Matt Rua has now been past fit to play and will start in the second row with Peter Robinson moving back to the interchange bench, and their coach is Mark Murray. Our referee this afternoon, Billy Harrigan, is in charge. A lot of people tipping this to be the game of the round. Certainly hope it turns out that way. We hope you enjoy all the action live here on Fox Sports. Harrigan assumes his place on the sideline at the mid-stripe. Waiting to blow time on it will be the Melbourne Storm, who defend the southern end of Marathon Stadium as Andrew Johns gets us underway with a high kickoff. And it will come down for Geyer, who takes it and brings it back outside the 20. Warm sunny afternoon here in Newcastle as Kearns takes it up over the 30-metre line. Met
to me again.
Steve Simpson there, the second rower, playing his 100th game in first grade this afternoon. Kearney
let him up, Mark,
on a swivel away from the tackle. Swain gives it off to Rodney Howe. Went sideways, got a fast play the ball away, didn't get it cleanly, but it's play on from Harrigan. And Richard Swain will play it just into Newcastle territory. Geyer from dummy half, rolling it in behind Darren Albert. Takes a fair while to pick it up and is met by Stephen Kearney there with the help of Aaron Moole.
Well, it was a great play there by Matt Geyer. We noticed him last week jumping in at first, second receiver for the Melbourne Storm side, taking a bit of pressure off Matt Orford that time, darting in, getting the ball from dummy half, putting the kick option through. And I think you'll see more of that this afternoon off Matt Geyer.
Medeiros through the hands of Grief to Johns, quickly through Hughes, and now away to McDougall with plenty of space down that left-hand side. It's almost a carbon copy of what happened to Colonial earlier in the season. Kennedy was coming and has put it down. That was their mode of operation in that game earlier this year at Colonial. They just had a freeway of space down that left-hand side and led 30 points to nil at the break in that game. And early on here, they've gone with the same tactic, and it's almost worked first up. Rodney Howe will play it. Comes back to Matt Rua. He was ruled out of that side. In fact, it's Perenara there playing it. Rua, of course, ruled out of the Kiwi side on Friday night. He was ruled out on Monday. Took no part, but is fit to play this afternoon as Kearns takes it back up towards the halfway line. One more tackle for the Storm. And it's Orford under some pressure from Simpson, but he evaded him to get the kick away over the head of McDougall. He'll bring it back. He's got O'Davis with him. Ignores the fullback on this occasion and takes the tackle. 2.5 minutes gone here at Marathon. No score between the Knights and the Melbourne Storm. Hughes will play it. Sensational series he had at the back for New South Wales. Very solid. Hardly made a mistake you can think of in a beaten side. Grief again. Takes it up. Swain bounced away from the tackle initially before he dragged him to ground with the help of Howe. Here's Parsons. On the last tackle, Johns it is with the kick. Wasn't a great one. Geyer took it fairly comfortably at his 20-metre line and brought it back a further 10. Put it in fairly good position here. Marcus by. Matthew Gidley rides him to the ground. Rodney Howe. Good straight run on this occasion. And a crossfield, his first touch in a previous set. Picked up some good metres there as Lavia. Still at 5'8", for the absent Scott Hill, who may be back before the finals, as we found out midweek. Rua now will play it in 19 this afternoon. Orford looking back behind the plate. Once again, it comes down to Darren Albert. A straight line there. He's met by Swain, who was right around the shoulders with Rua downstairs. In fact, Bill Harrigan wants a word to Richard Swain here.
It wasn't bad, but you got him there.
The penalty has gone the way of the Knights. Swain a little bit too high, in fact, in the tackle on Darren Albert. Here's Simpson. Just inside his own 40. Parsons now. Getting it back in behind the ruck. Taken by Kearney. A bit of height in that battle of second rowers. Badiris to John, standing pretty much on the advantage line when he took the pass. Was set upon quickly by Rodney Howe and Robbie Kearns. Grief again. Just bumps it across the halfway line. A couple of tackles left in this set as Badiris goes quickly from dummy half, looking to find a gap in behind the ruck, and almost did. Another fast play, the ball. Rudder to Johns. Back across the ruck. Kennedy has put another one down. Hasn't been a great start for the big second row up. Chance to keep it going when they made a bust down the left-hand side a few moments ago, and then a simple put down on that occasion.
Well, they're really working hard, the Melbourne Storm, coming off their defensive line. They're really making sure that the inside guy is working hard. Andrew Johns likes to step back in, likes to work the forwards over. He's got that jinking run. The Knights forwards are really aware of that. They're coming up in numbers, putting a lot of pressure on as Orford pokes his nose through, gets up quickly and plays the ball.
Swain. And Lavia outside him. Geyer juggled it, was half through a gap, but has knocked it on. The Newcastle Knights will get the feed from the scrum just outside their own 20. A 6-game scoring streak that Matt Geyer is looking to extend to at least 7 consecutive games this afternoon. Michael Hagan looking on high in the grandstands as they win it from the scrum, and Johns gives it off to Gidley, who's lost it in the tackle, tried to rake it back. Harrigan blew the whistle, and the Storm were looking to continue play on.
Locked on. You.
Just the one try this season for the Test centre. And his side now under some sort of pressure after the mistake. Orford has it. Here's Lavia. One-on-one tackle made by Rudder. Good chance for the Storm to open up the scoring. Here's Kearney at close range. They need to take their chances here this afternoon, you get the feeling. Swain to Orford. Flat pass for Lavia. He kicks it backwards now. It comes to Kearns, flicks it out the back to Matt Geyer. He's picked off in a good tackle by Andrew Johns just outside the Newcastle 10. Swain. It goes to Perenara. Looking for a hole. He can't find one. Perenara, or rather Rua it is, gets to first receiver. Not much happening there in the last couple of tackles. And they've got one left in this set of 6. Orford at first receiver will grab her off the legs. It came from Kearney to Lavia, over the top to Marcus by Luxa Fortune, and the Melbourne Storm lead 4 points to 0.
Well, you mentioned Luxa Fortune, Warren. The kick off Matt Orford rebounded off a Knights player straight in the arms of Stephen Kearney, and Kearney just turned his body, offloaded. We see here on the replay Orford, last tackle, coming off the Knights straight into Cecil Lavia, and the put down here by Marcus By. I don't like that, especially with O'Davis lashing out with a foot.
Matt Orford, 10 from 11 last week against the Tigers. In very good form with the boot. From the touchline this year, he's 5 of 12 for a 42% success rate. Pretty good strike, hooking away though. Helped slightly by a breeze blowing from the southwest here in Newcastle this afternoon. 4 points to 0 though. The Storm strike first against the Knights. I said you get the feeling they need to take their chances in front of this big crowd this afternoon when they do get them. They certainly did that on that occasion. Need to make the most of field position because the Newcastle Knights, when they get a chance, they certainly don't waste too many, especially with Johns at halfback. Robbie Kearns played it off the legs and has it inside the Melbourne Storm's 20. Rodney Howe. Swain comes to Kearney, who angles in and then darts away, trying to beat the tackle there. Swain will play it, and Howe gives it to Lavia, who gets the kick away. He finds Albert on the full. That was a poor kick, and Albert was half through a gap. Here's Gidley, the dancer, almost back to the halfway line. You can't afford to kick to Albert with such room to move, especially with Gidley around him. And the word, I'm sure, will go out from Mark Murray to Cesar Lavia. I'm not sure he's going to kick. He needs to kick in behind Darren Albert as they'd done previously. Grief. Rudder. Just outside the Melbourne Storm 30. Haven't really had a tackle inside the Melbourne Storm's 20 as yet. They're almost there now as Hughes will play it on the last tackle. Badiris comes to Johns down the blind side, kicking off the outside of the foot, check side, AFL style if you like. Orford couldn't handle it, had to play at it, and they will get the ball back with a set of 6 to come.
Well, that's just a freakish kick there by Andrew Johns. You mentioned check side punt. He had the fullback going across, then he whacked it back the other side of the field. Orford had to come across in cover, knocked the ball dead. Gets another set of 6 for the Newcastle Knights.
And Grubber almost from the goal line drop out of Matt Orford. And it's Billy Peden who has it just outside this Storm 20. The Knights get their first chance to put some extended pressure on this Melbourne defensive line. Badiris comes to Rudder. Simpson outside him. Good tackle by Orford, who hangs on for grim life. He stops him a couple of metres away. Johns standing wide at first receiver. Peden knocked down by Tessessa Lavia, and they'll get 6 more again.
He might have been unlucky there, Lavia. I've seen a number of times this year when they've come up hard in the defensive line and put the tackle on. It's rebounded. They've called 6 again. Play on. See Johns, long ball to Billy Peden. Now that time he was going for the intercept. Good call by the referee.
They've done very well, the Storm. They're instead of hanging back and sliding in their defence, they're getting up quickly, and that's putting the Knights under a lot of pressure.
Johns was looking for Rudder on his hip. He didn't find him. Davis cleaned up. He's just 5 metres away from the Melbourne line. They can hold him out here and really boost this Melbourne Storm defensive line. Peden trying to back his way towards the try line, got very close. Badiris, a fast play, the ball knocked on at first receiver, knocked back, said Harrigan. Badiris comes back, links up with Johns. Face ball for Rudder, who almost spun away from them. Still 5 metres out. Badiris going himself from dummy half, not fallen for by the Storm defence. Rudder gives it to Johns. Grubbers, Kennedy pouring through. Guy is there to save the day. 6 more tackles coming out for the Newcastle Knights. Good defence so far from the Storm.
Well, that's why he's a great player, Andrew Johns. Nothing was happening. I'll put the ball in behind the line, get another set of 6, try and tie this big Melbourne Storm forwards out. Johns is just such a smart player. You can see today with his kicking game, he's just mixed it up. He's gone long, he's gone short. Just a wonderful player.
The Storm have done very well in reading a lot of those plays. We saw the kick back across field. Matt Orford was there to take the football, and just then Matt Guy did a wonderful job to be directly in line with that kick from Andrew Johns.
Glenn Grief has it back 25 out. Now Parsons takes his turn. Tackled by Rua downstairs. Johns gets his first touch in this set of 6. Takes it himself. They've used 3 tackles. Badiris to Rudder. As Simpson again, flat at the line. Strong tackle by Kearney. And a real battle on this side of the field, those two. Johns once again wide at first receiver to Kennedy. He's put another one down. This one was knocked on and it will be offside. Touched by Parsons. It came back to Kennedy. And so the Melbourne Storm have done very well to hang on there, and they've got the ball through the penalty.
Well, it was great work defensively there by the Melbourne Storm. Brett Kenny was mentioning they were getting hard off their line. They're also numbering up great. They had all the runners covered. And Ben Kennedy has dropped 3 balls here this afternoon, more handling the mistakes than I've seen him make in a game. I'm sure that he'd be unhappy.
The Knights certainly are. They are certainly working their left-hand side in attack, or the right-hand side of the defensive line of the Storm, and it has created a few problems because they're throwing the long passes back across just to get it over to their left-hand side. And unfortunately for them, as Laurie's mentioned, Ben Kennedy has dropped the ball 3 times.
Aaron Mill picked off by his opposite, Matt Gidley, the marker there. They're 30 out from the Newcastle line. Marcus by. Bumps it forward for a strong 10 or 12 metres. Last tackle now. Lavia at first receiver. Will they go to the air and put some pressure on O'Davis? That's what they do. They kick for the corner though. Good ball. It came off the hands there of Fafita Moala. When touch in goal rather after that. And it will be a tap restart from the Newcastle 20. Had a good shot at it there. Put some pressure on McDougall but couldn't hang on to it.
And while that was going up, Warren, we've got Matt Orford out here really struggling on the left wing for the Melbourne Storm side. He looks like he's got a knee problem. He's hopping about. He doesn't look too good.
Simpson lost it backwards. Cleaned up by Darren Albert. Here's O'Davis. Rorty out there gives Robbie Kearns a break after 16 minutes here at Marathon. Ben Kennedy hangs onto it, gets the Bronx cheer from this big Newcastle crowd. Won't think too much of that as Johns fires a lovely pass to Mark Hughes, but well tackled by Stephen Bell. McDougall gives it back to Johns. Looking for the spiral bomb. It was a wobbly old kick, well taken by Matt Geyer, who was almost through the gap there, and had he been, there wasn't a lot of defence to beat between himself and the Newcastle try line. Davis was hanging back there, but he was going to be the last line. Rorty signed, of course, with the Panthers for the next couple of seasons during the week as they push it through the hands here. Orford showing no signs of that injury on that occasion, but the pass wasn't able to be handled. Giving the Knights another chance inside Melbourne territory.
Yeah, well, I think one of the problems with the Storm, they're starting to push the pass a little. They've made some half breaks and a couple of full breaks, and I think at times, as I say, they're starting to push it. Matt Orford then push the pass, a little bit of pressure on the man receiving the football, and you can't afford to do that against the Knights.
McDougall got on the outside of Bell, loops a pass over the top to Mark Hughes. They've replied. They made their best break of the game in the opening couple of minutes when they went to that side. On this occasion, McDougall and Hughes swapped positions. McDougall came to left centre, Hughes went to the wing. McDougall had too much pace with the in and away for Stephen Bell and set it up for Mark Hughes.
Well, come on top of that mistake by the Melbourne Storm. They switched positions, McDougall and Hughes. Gave McDougall a one-on-one with Stephen Bell. He got on the outside, then Moala missed the tackle. Then it was just too easy for McDougall, tossing the ball back inside for Mark Hughes to score, to put the first points on the board for the Newcastle Knights.
Johns, 10 metres in from that eastern touchline. Might be about to crack the 1,300 point mark. Struck it nicely, hooking back over the black dots. 1,301 points now for Andrew Johns in his first grade career. He's in full flourish at the moment. 6 points to 4. The Newcastle Knights lead the Melbourne Storm. You mentioned Matt Orford struggling on the wing in defence for the Melbourne Storm. Laurie looks to be okay now. It might have just been a knock to the leg, which he's shaken off.
One thing that Matt Orford does do in defence, he will be standing just inside Marcus By, the winger, and in the defensive line. Apart from that, he will be back in the second line, but when he's up in the front line, you'll see that he'll be probably 1 or 2 players in from Marcus By, and I can't understand why the Knights don't try and attack this left-hand side and run some bigger men at the little bloke Matt Orford.
Again, Kennedy gets the cheers from the crowd for hanging on to this pass from Andrew Johns. Medeiros gives it back to Glenn Grief. He's at the halfway line on the 5th tackle. Johns again will do the honours with the kick. In for the sideline this time. Marcus By was there to cut it off. Johns racing up with Steve Simpson, able to snuff out his response at the 25-metre mark. Moala.
After that.
One try each midway through the first half here at Marathon as Perenara now. A short ball from Rodney Howe, who was aiming up for a hit up on the blind side. It comes to the open side though through Rorty. Now Orford runs away from Medeiros. A ball to Stephen Bell. They created a bit of space on that right-hand side. McDougall came up and took Moala in a great front-on tackle. Orford chipping over the top, looking for the in goal. He doesn't get the bounce he wanted though, and O'Davis feels it just outside his own goal line. Orford took the pace off him though. Davis almost got away from Bell.
The first interchange for
McDougall from dummy half.
Perry for Thrifty Car Rentals. Call John Jenkins at Thrifty Car and Truck Rentals for the best car, truck and bus deals in town.
Once again, angling in back in behind the ruck. It creates space on the open side for them. Fast play the ball as well.
Matt Parsons leaving the field for Newcastle
Johns
to the Ramatouris marketplace.
his rudder outside him. Takes them on this afternoon so far. This Melbourne Storm have done a good job of stopping Johns. They haven't fallen for any of his dummies. He's taken the lot on a couple of times, but they've been ready for it. The kick will be too big. And Melbourne will have it from their own 20.
They have, but he sets his game up so well, Andrew Johns. He gets the football, he'll throw long passes, he'll throw short balls. He'll start to get the defensive line of the Melbourne Storm worried about his outside guys, making them stretch a little bit in the middle of the park, trying to cover up the numbers on the outside. And then when he gets the defensive line spread a little bit, then he'll pick his times to run the football. And the spacing in between the big fellas is a lot bigger. He just does it so well.
Kearney got past the Johns tackle. Been in the best club form that he has been in for some years now. Going terrifically well for them. A forward pass, according to the officials, between Matt Orford and Peter Robinson. I must say, sitting here live at the ground, we're in a perfect line with this pass, and really, I think there was nothing wrong with it.
I've seen worse let go.
Well, he's penalised though. The Newcastle Knights here for being up inside the 10. Didn't realise the whistle was for a penalty. And the Melbourne Storm, Matt Orford will have the chance to add 2 points and tie this up at 6 each. The Storm in 3 trips here to Marathon, yet to leave with a victory. They'd love to rectify that this afternoon and maintain their spot in the 8s. Pretty solid kick from Orford. In fact, long enough and strong enough to be over the black dot. And he's tied it up 6 points each with 24 minutes gone here at Marathon.
Well, it's been a good effort so far from the guys backing up from the test match. Johns, Medeiros and McDougall for the Knights. And the Storm have also got their test players. Stephen Kearney's been very strong out here tonight. Robbie Kearns. They're all playing their part. Richard Swain.
Rodney Howe brings it out for the Storm. Robinson through his hands to Rorty as they shifted wide early on. Kearney, once again, John's up quickly to meet him at the advantage line and does a better job stopping him this time. Robinson. Makes barely a couple of metres. Danny Medeiros lucky not to be penalised there. Richard Swain just going again from dummy half. And Orford drives it low, helped by this breeze which has swung behind the Melbourne Storm since the kickoff. And no trouble getting the distance in that penalty goal attempt from almost 40 metres. Gidley runs away from the tackle of Swain. Almost got through them on the second occasion as well. The tackle was made by Howe. Kennedy. It's to the halfway line. Peden waits a dummy half. He gives it off to Clinton O'Brien. Johns. Blindside raid again. Howe was there. The pass for McDougall was down low. He couldn't hang on to it. Almost got away from them though. It was only the tackle of Rodney Howe which he dropped off. Johns, the link up with the flying winger, just couldn't hang on to it.
Well, he played that well, Andrew Johns, except for the last pass. The execution was poor.
Locks in.
Just down around McDougall's ankles, but he read the numbers short side. Through the dummy, he ran the ball himself.
From the scrum, Bell standing on this left-hand side. Just less than 14 minutes left in the first half as Howe bumps it up. Goes back to the halfway line. Very tight and even affair.
They change number 3 for Melbourne.
Rodney Howe comes off. Robbie Kearns, the captain, goes back out there. Swain again goes from dummy half. Picking his moments beautifully at the moment. Grabbed 20 metres on that occasion. Orford now. He's got Robinson coming back towards the play the ball area. He can't get into ground and he pinches another 5 or so metres. Eventually, he plays it just outside the Newcastle 20. Last tackle. Kearns chasing through on the Orford kick. Peden can't handle it. Luckily, it went over the dead ball line for Newcastle. Robbie Kearns chasing through the chip kick. Unusual in itself. But it almost worked out for them.
Well, he just came on the field. He just replaced Rodney Howe. Robbie Kearns straight into the action. Great kick by Orford. He found some space. The ball bounced awkwardly for O'Davis. Billy Peden was coming back. He got his hands to the football. The Melbourne Storm really starting to apply some pressure here.
And Lavia takes the goal line drop out, hands it off to Robbie Kearns. Oh, picked up in a very strong tackle. Simpson over the top with O'Brien underneath. Here's Rorty putting the step on, giving it to Swain. Back to Kearns. Robinson shows it. Almost got away from the Kennedy tackle. 15 metres out. Lavia at first receiver. Orford outside him. Strong work by Josh Perry, but Lavia bounces away, goes again. He's just 5 metres away. 6 each between the Knights and the Storm. Here's Rorty taking them on. Almost get there. Got very close. In fact, got across the line but couldn't get the ball down. He was held up and the Storm will get 6 more tackles.
Well, that's a very strong run by Ben Rorty. I thought he was going to be held 10 metres away. You see, takes the ball back on the inside. 2 Newcastle defenders there. Third one comes in. Rorty still moving. Rolls over, unfortunately. Denny Baderis was there on the spot to prevent him from putting the ball down on the ground.
Roy Simmons would love seeing that.
Run to him and get it fixed up. We're packing the scrum.
The Panthers with Rorty on deck next year, along with Martin Lang.
Seconds down.
It's no concern of Mark Murray's at the moment.
Get in, Richard. Get in. Ball in.
Like to see his side add to this scoreline here and hit the lead once again.
Get a lock in. In. Put it in. Put it in.
Bill Harrigan, seeing the Storm had an extra player in the back line, calls Perinara back to the scrum. Guy has put it down. Oh, they've wasted 6 tackles. Right on top of the Newcastle line here. A real let-off for the Knights. Now Hughes has gone straight to his back. Might have got an accidental knee here. Matt Orford's clutching his head. Perhaps it was the head of Orford which has caught Hughes down low. Let's take a look at this again. Orford been in the wars somewhat in this game already. There is all there. It is the accidental knee there. The lower leg of Ben Rorty has caught Mark Hughes, and he is in some bother here. Time blown off for the moment, of course. Just see it again. Orford riding him to the ground, and then Rorty coming in to finish off the tackle. Caught him awkwardly, unfortunately, for Hughes. He grimaced straight away. No fault of Rorty's, of course. Hughes is back on his feet. That's a good sign in itself. Very solid season also with the Knights. 11 tries, 11 line breaks. Will leave the field though for the moment. Will force perhaps a reshuffle on that left-hand side of the field for the Knights. And all forward interchange bench today. Of course, they do have Julian Bailey though, who can fill a spot in the back line for them. And you would think he would be a natural replacement for Mark Hughes in this situation. Marquette is also out there. Here is Josh Perry. So all four players off the Newcastle bench getting a start in the first half. And they'll get the luxury of a penalty here. The Storm penalised for trying to reef the ball out in the tackle. Johns bypasses the chance to pick up some metres from the kick. Into this breeze, he thought it might have been better to take the tap. That's what they did. O'Brien now.
At the back.
Got it out the back to Johns. Taken by his opposing captain this afternoon, Robbie Kearns. Plays it back to Medeiros. Here's Kennedy. Standing in the tackle, looking to offload. Parsons is back on the bench with Glenn Grief. Johns. Spiral pass for Gidley. Comes back to Andrew Johns. Chased by Orford. Albert cutting back on the inside. Tackled by Russell Bowden out there now for the Storm. Going a long way from dummy half as Medeiros. Perry was flashing through. Couldn't get the pass. Johns now on this right-hand side. Chipping over the top for Albert. Bats it backwards. It comes though to Aaron Moole. Worked out very nicely for the Storm as it turned out. Marcus Bai goes outside the 20. Now Bowden. Into the shoulder there of Clinton O'Brien. Perry there to stop him also. Kearns.
16.
Swain again from dummy half. A bit of a handful for this Newcastle defence this afternoon so far. Orford under pressure from Julian Bailey. Went with the midfield bomb. Taken by Peden under not too much pressure by the Newcastle chase.
Well, that could be costly, that poor kick there by Matt Orford. The Knights in that previous set of 6 were getting a roll on. Johns was coming into his own, controlling the play. They just turned the ball back over in good field position. This is where the Knights love to attack from.
Gidley goes to the blind side from dummy half. Now Marquette just takes it forward, gets him back within range of the Melbourne Storm 20. Goes to Johns. Now Rudder running at the line. Open a beautiful hole for Kennedy. Fires a pass to McDougall. What a play by Newcastle. Right out of the playbook. Time and again you can tell they've practiced that during the week. And it worked to perfection. 10-6 they lead the Storm.
I'm sure Michael Harrigan would be very happy with that set piece. Not often they come off in a game of football. Rudder shows the ball inside. Kennedy's running at the same angle. The double pump straight through, gives it to McDougall. And that's just a wonderful bit of football.
Well, put that try down to Julian Bailey. He's the one that applied the pressure to force Matt Orford to put up the high kick. And that was magnificent play by the Knights there. And Ben Kennedy makes the break. Initially, in the early part of this first half, having a horror time with his hands, was able to set up a very good and very well worked try for the Knights.
Came into this game kicking at a 79% success rate in season 2001. Struck this well from wide out again. Might not have created too much with the ball in his hands this afternoon, but he's added a couple of good conversions from wide out. This one never looked like missing.
When your confidence is up, you can do anything, they say. And Andrew Johns is proving that this afternoon with his goal kicking. It's been spot on. Looks easy, but it's not.
So we've got just on 6 minutes left in this first half. They've been very good stopping this man so far, Melbourne. On that occasion, set piece just opened them up. And Orford with the restart. The best part of 60 metres on the full. And Davis took it just inside the dead ball line. Perry met by Rorty there with the help of Kearns. Here's Peden. Rodney Howe getting ready to come back on for the Storm. O'Brien takes it forward for Newcastle. Here's Kennedy again. Might have had a slow start at the game with his hands. He's found his rhythm now. Here's Medeiros. No look pass for Bailey. He gets between them as well. Here they come again. He's got options. Kennedy is there. He'll score for the Knights as well. That's how you answer the fans. Bailey might have got there on his own as it turned out. He kept throwing dummies. They kept looking for the support players, the Melbourne defence, and Kennedy just stormed across the line as it turned out in the end.
Well, it's just great play by the Newcastle Knights. They just kept working the right-hand side of the Storm over with quick play the balls. The Storm were going backwards. The Knights were going forward. Medeiros out of dummy half was fantastic. Picking up Julian Bailey. Guy hang off as long as possible, but he had to make a decision. And then the ball went back inside to Kennedy. And that is a great shot in the arm for the Newcastle Knights. 2 tries in 2 sets of 6s.
Well, a 6-all game has become 18-6 in the blinking of an eye here. The Melbourne Storm, they certainly can put on back-to-back tries against sides. Newcastle are no slouches themselves in that area. And they've opened up a 12-point buffer here with just under 4 minutes left before the break. Just lovely work by Medeiros. Not much space to work in. Somehow created a 3-on-2. And Bellin Moala couldn't stop Julian Bailey. Matt Orford once again finds himself in a similar position of getting us back into action. Comes down for Davis once more, who gives it off for Perry. They need to hold them out here in this last 3 minutes, Melbourne. And here's a chance for them.
One there, one there. Yep. Stand up.
Josh Perry penalised for trying to play the ball too quickly. He wasn't back on his feet when he put the ball on the ground. They could make a case that they didn't get much help from the Melbourne defence, but Harrigan didn't see it that way, and here's Melbourne now with a chance to respond. Robbie Kearns charging at the line. 4 metres away, plays it back for Swain. Orford on the run around from Bowden. It comes to Guyer. He's wrapped up by Gidley. Orford to Bowden, running across field, gives it off to Levia now. Straight line from the Newcastle defence still, although some good stepping by Perinara. He's 8 metres away. We'll play it back to Swain. Rodney Howe. They're up very quickly. In fact, Johns gets the intercept, looking for support. He can't find anybody at the moment. They wrap him up. They stormed off the line, Newcastle. Johns was there, took it. Now things have turned around suddenly now. Here comes Gidley. One-on-one with Mill. Ball out the back for Darren Albert. He'll give it back to Davis. Knocked backward, says Harrigan. O'Brien cleans up and takes it just into Melbourne Storm territory. Medeiros to Marcus. They need to hang on here, Melbourne. Johns would love another one here. Gets away from the Howe tackle, finds He knocked it on at the tackle. Oh, it's looking promising for them, wasn't it?
Well, they're starting to find a lot of gaps tonight, and that comes down to the quick play of the balls. They're beating the Storm in that area, in the play of the ball area. The quick play of the balls enabling the Knights to get a roll on. The Storm are still going backwards with their defence.
They're out on their feet here at the moment, the Storm. They can't wait for the half-time siren to sound. What a tackle from Perry on Howe. Oh, if you don't mind, Rodney has gone straight for the jaw. The ball has come loose. In fact, Bill Harrigan wants a word with Josh Perry. This will be very interesting.
Joey? Now I've seen a tackle, but I haven't seen a point of contact. I've asked a question, right?
All right, the point of contact was borderline. However, when the player's fallen on the ground, he's also done the same thing and chopped him the second time the head was on the ground. First time borderline, on the ground, definitely high.
And we just penalise on report?
I put a report, yeah.
Okay, you got it?
Well, a high tackle. You heard the report from the touch judge to Bill Harrigan. Borderline the contact the first time around, he said. Might have been the shoulder there of Perry, but then he came down, according to the touch judge, while Howe lay on the ground. The Storm have it. Here we are with 5 seconds left on the clock before half-time. Howe has recovered and takes it up into the teeth of this Newcastle defence. One last tackle for Melbourne. Guy will drop the ball, in fact. But Dearest, it comes to Kennedy. Oh, knocked on by Bailey, and a good thing too for Melbourne because there was a chance for McDougall wide out. A helter-skelter end to the first half. Newcastle lay on 2 quick tries. Josh Perry finds himself on report on the stroke of half-time. And as they go to the sheds, it is the Knights who lead the Storm 18 points to 6. Bill Harrigan standing by to blow the whistle and get us back underway. Orford does exactly that. Not a deep kick-off as it comes down to O'Davis, who hands it off for Josh Perry, who has found himself on report for an incident involving Rodney Howe towards the end of the first half. Vidiris gives it off for O'Brien. He takes it just outside the Newcastle 30. Johns now will kick for position. He'll send Moala racing backwards. It bounces inside the 20. Was it from inside the 40 though? That is the question. I think you'll find it was a 40-20. Newcastle, a dream start to this second half. Well, it was from well inside their own 40. 5 metres he was on his own side of the 40. Got the right bounce as well. Moala had no play at it. So Newcastle will get a set of 6 from just inside the Melbourne Storm 20. In the third time this year that Andrew Johns has come up with a 40-20. He's got O'Davis almost on the outside of Matt Geyer. Gidley comes to Albert. Important for the Melbourne Storm, obviously, to hang on here. O'Davis almost weaving his way through the line. Badiris to Johns. Short ball for Kennedy. Looking to dump it back for McDougall, who had come midfield. Here's Johns again on the left-hand side. Rudder cutting back towards the play the ball. Last tackle. Johns, a close range of the play the ball. Another kick off the outside of the boot. Albert couldn't hang on to it. Oh! It was served up on a silver platter for Darren Albert, who had 3, 4, 5 grabs at it and put it down.
Well, that was a great kick by Andrew Johns. The reason being it was because Marcus Bai thought the little grubber was coming in. He took 2 paces in, and of course the kick went, it was like the banana kick, went back over the top of him, and unfortunately for the Knights, Darren Albert just couldn't control the football.
Kearns, good pass for Swain away to Warford. Bowder was cutting back on the inside. Still comes alive, back to Warford now. Probably a shame for the Storm that Bowden did cut back on the inside because they had 3 or 4 lined up outside him. Here's Geyer now. Turns it back for Marcus Bye. It's an enterprising play. Start their first piece of attack in this second half. Good kick from Orford as well. Will send O'Davis backwards towards his own goal line. Fairly straight line at the chase as well. They trail by 12. As the Storm try and hold them here as deep as they can inside Newcastle territory before Johns will do the kicking. Perry took on Perenara and drove him backwards before Robertson stopped him around the legs. Vidiris again going from dummy half. Bailey gives it off to O'Brien. And Puden outside him. And now gives it back to Vidiris. He swivels. And Perenara will ride him to the ground. On the last tackle, they're inside Storm territory. Here's Johns, no kick, he gives it to Rudder. Across the face he goes to Gidley. Chips in behind them, Albert is coming quickly, Geyer is there, and did magnificently to get the pass back on the inside for Marcus Bye.
What about that for a bit of rugby league skill? Matt Geyer putting his body on the line, and Darren Albert chasing through. Looked like he was going to get pushed over the sideline, just pass the ball back inside to Marcus Bye. Great bit of football. The Knights are having success trying to run it on the last, getting the ball a couple of passes wide. The Melbourne Storm wingers, they do drop back a lot on 4th and 5th tackle.
Here's Swain now from dummy half. Almost back to the halfway line. They've had 5. And Orford doesn't kick. Sees a gap, runs straight through it as well. Got a pass to Stephen Bell. He does an Andrew Johns off the side of the boot. It's contagious. Oh, doctor, hand me some of those pills. Here's McDougall now on the counter-attack. Straight past Orford as well. Ran away from Geyer, who hangs on to him only just. Gidley going on with it. Got a ball back, picked up beautifully as well by Rudder. He loops a pass to Bailey, who couldn't hang on to it. Oh, forget the pills, hand me some oxygen.
Well, Warren, I've got to say, I don't understand what Matthew Gidley was doing. I thought once he received the ball, he would have gone for the try line. He didn't seem to be going at full pace.
Number 6 for Melbourne.
And didn't get the best pass away. As we see the Storm now lose control of the football, turn it over to the Knights.
Fafita Moala, I thought, had it. He hesitated in playing it as he thought it might have been offside, but he should have played it because it came off a Newcastle player back towards him, and he's inadvertently given possession to the Knights here. Here's O'Davis looping a pass for Albert, who can't hang on to it. Well, isn't it all happening, as Phil Laurie would say?
Well, it's like as if both sides think that if they score next, they're a big show of winning this football game, and they're going to blow the opposition team off the park. They haven't come out in the second half and try and build their games, which they did in the first half. The Knights are trying to finish where they left off, use the ball at every opportunity.
Mark Hughes back on the bench with the dressing gown on at the moment, still clutching at that back. He will not be back. Here's Lavia giving a ball away to Geyer, who's almost away. He slipped a pass, knocked backwards by O'Brien, and look at this, they're lining up. O'Davis dummies straight through the gap. It comes back for Paul Marquardt. He will give it back to Vidiris. What a week for the young hooker. Makes his test debut on Friday nights and scores underneath the black dot here in front of the home fans, 22-6.
Well, he's been strong again today, Danny Vidiris, but it comes about by the mistakes that this Melbourne Storm side are committing. The pass doesn't need to be thrown. Geyer gets the football, better off to go down. He doesn't even look to see who he's passing the ball to. O'Brien knocks the ball down. It goes to O'Davis. O'Davis had plenty of numbers in support, gave it to Marquette, and then straight under Vidiris, who scores under the post.
Well, as I say, Laurie, it was done for a mistake. They were guilty of pushing the pass early in the first half. They did it again there. That time the pass wasn't necessary. O'Davis did remarkably well. He had about 4 or 5 guys on the right-hand side, chose to step back to the left, And of course, Badiris went under for a great try as the Storm try a quick kick-off.
It certainly didn't work if it was going to be a quick kick-off because they kicked it a little bit too deep. Of course, Andrew Johns converted from right in front. 24 points to 6, the scoreline. 3 converted tries, now the difference. So Brian keeping it alive again. Back to Badiris. Bailey. Back to Josh Perry. Got away from the Kearney tackle. And they've done very well again, the Storm, at the start of the half here. Created plenty of chances for themselves, but there's a real impression now that Newcastle, turning it on, might go on with this and rack up yet another scoreline here. Badiris goes to Johns. Tackled by Kearns. One more tackle for the Storm to hang on here. Well, kick from Rudder. Charged down by Howe, who got to him without any problems at all. Oh, now it's been compounded. Orford has knocked it on, according to Bill Harrigan. He can't believe it.
He knocked it on, he tried to catch the ball and he lost it.
Matt, you knocked it on. How am I going to face him that way? He wasn't facing that way at all.
There it is, the touch from Rodney Howe.
No,
Difference of opinion.
You have a look at it yourself.
You know what? I think they're pretty hardly done by then, the Melbourne Storm. Here come the Newcastle Knights again. A pass over the top. McDougall gets away from the Lavia tackle. He was facing his own goal line. Bill Harrigan thought the ball still went forwards towards the Newcastle line at any rate. Can't agree with him on that occasion. Billy Peden has it. Midfield, 28 out. Badiris gives it to O'Brien. Good tackle by Swain. Badiris going from dummy half. Back to Pete and they almost dropped off. McDougall was there. Storm's eyes were on him. Johns at the line for Kennedy into a huge hole. An avalanche has begun. Harrigan wants to take a look to see if there was some interference here by one of the hole runners who might have created the gap for Kennedy. Josh Perry, the man he's talking to, who might have got in front of Kennedy and just made the room for him.
It was all set up by the forwards for the Newcastle side, setting a good platform for Johns running the ball to the line. Marquette runs into Matt Orford. And Kennedy, second man play in behind. I think that's okay.
You think try?
Yeah, I think try.
Oh, I think no try. Red for mine.
Well, the thing was that Matt Orford didn't seem to say too much after the incident, but Stephen Kearney did. Now there's Matt Orford being taken out there. Kearney then couldn't get through. I think it's touch and go. I wouldn't mind betting that they rule no try. I reckon they might call it a Shepherd.
We've seen a number of these in recent times, and most of them, in fact, if not all of them, have gone the way of the attacking team. It's something that has crept into the game in recent times. On this occasion, though, Graham West, the video referee, says no try and a penalty to the Storm.
Yeah, well, I've seen a number of times this season where they have been given tries. This time, Graham West obviously feels as though he was impeded. And that's a let-off for the Melbourne Storm side. They've really got to go back to basic football, the Storm. They've got to complete their sets. They've got to try and build into this game and try and set their game up. At the moment, they're just playing willy-nilly, trying to create second phase play at every opportunity. And the Knights defensively are handling it very well.
Yeah, they've really got to settle down the Storm, as you say, Larry. They are, and they're trying to force passes. They're throwing balls that don't need to be thrown. I think they've had the habit of looking at the scoreboard, and that's the worst thing they can do. They've just got to get back to playing their set pattern that they started with in the first half. Let the ball do the work. Don't try and throw too many quick passes, and just try and work the Newcastle side over. As soon as they start to be too fancy, they're going to bring themselves undone.
Orford set upon by Andrew Johns. He is very strong though, Matt Orford. Johns, such a strong player himself, and Matt Orford has shown time and again this year that he is a very strong player. Kennedy charged it down. play on for the moment, although Harrigan will call this one back surely. Billy Peaton is hoping not, because he would like to score yet again. They're low-fiving each other. Now Billy Peaton says, oh, hang on a sec.
What's that?
They're all the way back up there.
Don't think they'll run back too quickly.
They're a long way from the action now. Bill Harrigan and everybody else is standing down around about 65 metres away. Might have been off the head there of Ben Kennedy.
It might have been. I think it came off his arm though, Warren. I think that was the correct decision by Bill Harrigan. He played at it. You see Mark Murray up there in the coach's box. He'd be a very worried man at this stage with under 28 minutes to go.
The one thing he would be hoping, though, is that his side, of course, have a knack of scoring tries in bunches.
Get your head in.
If they can get one, they can usually follow it up soon after with another one, if not two. And they need three here to get back on level terms.
They can, Warren, but I don't think they're playing well this afternoon. They're trying to force the pass. I think the Newcastle Knights with 24 points to 6 lead.
Here's Orford. Johns up very quickly again, as he has been all afternoon to get to him. In fact, it was Badiris on this occasion. They're just 12 metres away from this Newcastle line. Swain to Lavia. Flat pass to Moole. Gilly was there to stop him. Guyer grubbering off the hands of O'Davis. Knocked backwards into his own in goal. And that will be a goal line dropout. Davis contends he had the ball back in the field of play. Can't believe the call. It won't matter though, they'll be dropping it out. Worked out pretty well for Matt Guyer in the end.
I think it was a fair enough call. At the end of it, the final wash-up, the ball, I feel, was on the try line.
I think O'Davis's last play when the tackle was completed, he pushed the ball over the line.
Robbie Kearns bring it back from the dropout. They're exerting some pressure on this Newcastle line. Here's Rua back out there. Fast play the ball. Comes to Lavia, spending a lot of time at first receiver. Run around with Howe. This Newcastle defensive line getting up very quickly still, right in the face of the Melbourne Storm defence. Lavia is away and will be penalised, surely. Although Harrigan says it will be a scrum. Well, Bill Harrigan had called tackle. If he's called tackle and the players continued on, well then he has to be moving off the mark, and it should be a penalty to Newcastle. They'll get the ball back at any rate.
Pineapple. In, hold.
Could well have been getting it back from a penalty.
Yep.
Pineapple's on. Andrew Johns has called the pineapple move.
Run down to the fruit shop and find out what that is. Here's Peaton. Marquardt. Davis takes the hit up from dummy half. The Knights about to send the troops back out into action. Parsons and Grief coming back on. Here's McDougall, though, working into some spaces. Has been very involved this afternoon. You wouldn't know he was supposedly carrying a back injury into this game after the test on Friday night. Here they go again, looking for another kick, which will find the touchline. Andrew Johns has it on a string. This one, though, from outside his 40. Wasn't a lot in it, though.
When Andrew Johns was out, they sadly lacked a kicking game in this Newcastle side. They weren't able to exert pressure with grubber kicks in behind the line, little chip kicks over the top, getting consecutive sets of 6. And when they were under a bit of pressure, they couldn't find the line, they couldn't find touch, they couldn't get a rest in their games. And when Johns has been back in this team, you just notice the difference in their kicking game. He just controls the speed of the game so well. When his team needs a rest, he'll find touch. When he needs to up tempo in the game, he'll find the ground, make the ball run.
Howe comes to Marcus By. Albert will try and frog march him over the sideline. Here's Robbie Kearns. In those fast play the balls, they're renowned for. Orford kicking over the head of Darren Albert. Did the proverbial off break and stayed in the field of play. Mill can't pick him up. Geyer can't either. Back three for the Knights. Very hard to stop this afternoon. Here's 1/3 of it. McDougall spinning like Arthur Murray, taken in a strong tackle over the top by Rodney Howe. Perhaps a little over the top, says Adam McDougall. Looks at the touch judge and the referee. Gets no joy from either of them. 5 changes left for each team. Simpson picked up in the tackle. Got it back for Glenn Grief. A bit away from the Kearney and Howe tackle. And Rodney racing up to put a hit on once again. Parsons. Orford leaps at him. Backwards to Badiris. Came to Johns. Rudder has it. Chipping over the top on the last. O'Davis is chasing through. Geyer handles it though.
You mentioned the Melbourne Storm can't get a roll on with quick play the balls. It's just because of the defence of the Newcastle side. They're getting numbers in the tackles. And when the Storm are going wide, it just allows the Newcastle Knights to number up properly. They're not getting caught. The Storm, when they do go wide, they've got no variation in their attack. They're just trying to get on the outside. You've got to start looking to turn the ball inside, maybe starting to work over the bigger Knights forwards.
That's been the difference between the two sides. The Knights, from the middle of the first half onwards, have really started to dominate the play the ball area. They've had quick play the ball, and that's enabled their forwards to keep moving, and that's why they're in front the way they are.
Orford from dummy half. Oh, Lavia under the pressure from Andrew Johns had a small look and put it down. Again, they created something in the previous run from Robbie Kearns, who dumped it backwards, and Stephen Bell picked up 15 or 20 extra metres as well. And just when they had something building on that left-hand side, the pass was just behind Lavia.
The choice of day trips or overnight accommodation included.
Matt Orford still down on one knee here. Might have got a little hit after he passed the ball. Rudder is the man. There he is, got one just around the throat or chin region.
Was a little bit high there, that tackle from Rudder, especially after he passed the ball. He would have relaxed himself. Rudder's come in over the top.
Peter now goes to Parsons. Well picked off by Matt Ruhr. One of the best tackling techniques in the NRL. Grief charges at both Swain and Lavia. Johns kicking long again this time from inside the 40. Won't find the sideline. Geyer will track it down. Has Moala with him. Gives it off to the winger. A little bit of doubt about the pass. It won't matter at this stage. Bell comes to Marcus Bai. Midway through this second half. Just the one try in it so far. What a beauty it was. Terrific counter-attack as the Melbourne Storm again have been their own worst enemy at stages this afternoon. Another mistake here inside their own half. And Newcastle will get a chance to extend this lead. Obvious forward pass between Howe and Rorty.
Well, it was, and look, there's still just under 20 minutes remaining in this second half or in this game, and but really, the way the Storm are going, they're walking around with their heads down, they're playing with no confidence. You just can't see them getting out of this. And on the other hand, you can see the Knights coming up with possibly another 2 or 3 tries.
Bring it up. Okay. Don't put your feet so far across. Don't strike for Melbourne. Put in.
Johns to Sean Rudder. Really no point striking for it if you don't have 6-foot legs in this day and age, is there? The ball goes between the second rowers and the lock. That's the way we do it. The hookers from the opposing sides, if they ever get a chance, you should sack your halfback straight away. Parsons. He's just 12 metres out. Badiris to Johns. He'd like to score one which would lift the corrugated roof off this grandstand at Marathon. Here's Rudder. They're 5 metres away. Badiris waiting for it. Here's McDougall trying to storm his way over. Lavia only just got him. Plays it to Badiris. Wasn't quite ready for it. Runner puts it backwards. Did Kennedy hang on to it? I think he did. I think he scored as well. Harrigan thinks so. He points to the spot. Yes.
Well, that's a freakish try. Sean Rudder getting the football, going to put a kick across the field. Was probably one of the worst kicks I've seen. Straight across field. And Kennedy, beautifully off his toes, just picks it up. You see straight back. He's kicked it backwards. Double take on the football. Kennedy straight under the post. And isn't he happy?
Well, it was a wobbly old kick, and Ben Kennedy, we saw early in the first half, had a terrible time with his hands. This one, fingertip control, it's gone over for a great try, and that certainly has lifted the corrugated roof off this grandstand, Warren.
Thanks, Brett. 2 today for Kennedy. And again, the extras added by Andrew Johns. Adding to that tally, of course, we saw him break the 1,300-point mark earlier this afternoon with his first kick of the afternoon. And it is a big scoreline the Melbourne Storm are looking at now, 30 points to 6. A win here for the Newcastle Knights will keep them inside the top 4. And a loss for the Storm will have them once again teetering on the edge of dropping outside the top 8. Here's Parsons. Brett O'Farrell out there now in 15 for the Storm, his first action of the afternoon. Marquardt. Badiris. It comes back for Grief. Down the short side, Marquardt comes to Julian Bailey. He's been playing at left centre since Mark Hughes left the field in the first half of the back injury.
Leave him there.
Johns tracking across field, looking to start something. He found Peden, who found Rudder. He got away from the Kearney tackle. Now it goes to Simpson. He's running like a winger himself. Feeds it to Darren Albert. Oh, put a step on Ben Rawley, which shook him out of his underpants, and he'll score behind the post. It is showtime here at Marathon now. What a run from Simpson when he found some space to work in.
Well, it come about by second phase play by the Newcastle side. They've won the ruck area all day here against the Storm. They've continually won the play the ball area, getting up, quick play the balls, turning the ball inside, outside. They've got a lot of variation in their attack, this Newcastle side. Give it to Simpson. Simpson's got plenty of speed. Darren Albert in this situation is going to be extremely hard to beat. Rawley throws out the leg. Wasn't good enough either.
Well, they're certainly down the Storm. There was nothing really on. All the Knights did was just backed up. They had plenty of support play. Simpson did very well to make the final break, and because when you've got a winger like Darren Albert out there, very hard to stop that close to the line.
Been a fair return for Andrew Johns, hasn't it? Kicks another 2 points here, 36 points to 6. Last week against the Broncos, they towed them up 44 points to 0. He starred in that. Start again on Friday night for Australia against New Zealand, and here he is as part of a very big win here against the Storm. Orford with a short kickoff. Johns is waiting for it, and he'll try and launch something straight away. Oh, he had Julian Bailey flashing through.
Kelly, you're well with
He got the ball. Gone all the way himself. The completion rates in the second half. The Knights 10 of 13. The Storm 5 of 11. Coughed up so much ball. Some of it at this end of the field as well. Parsons Tackled by Perinara. Here's Johns. Ball back on the inside for Margaret. There are gaps everywhere. There are Knights everywhere also. One of them, McDougall, couldn't hang on to it. And it fell down for Kearney. Just creating at will now. Ball's back on the inside. Johns running to the line. 10 line breaks to 2. Tells you a lot. And lock on there from Brito Farrell, not picked up by Harrigan. Marcus Pye gives it back for Swain. Now to O'Farrell.
Interchange for the Knights.
The Peden tackle. Takes it to the halfway line. Andrew Johns gets a break. Ben Kennedy, the player who takes his spot for the moment. Got a rousing reception as well. Joey Johns when he came back to the bench. Orford. Lavia over the top. And here's Robinson.
Use the foot, Pete.
That will be tackle number 5. Swain it is, who kicks in behind them. Davis is there to clean up, forced back into the in goal once again. Good work by Moala. He's earned his side 6 more tackles.
It's been a great effort this afternoon by all the guys backing up from the test, but especially Andrew Johns, and I think the 2 hookers from both clubs. Jenny Badiris has been outstanding for the Knights, and Richard Swain again getting himself involved in plenty of the defensive work. His all-round game has improved. He runs from dummy half. He's got a kicking game. He's one of the most improved players in the competition. Stephen Carney has been terrific for the Storm. He's kept trying.
Geyer brings it back towards the Newcastle 20. They trail by 30 points. Looks to be a very big chance in this game for the first half an hour. O'Farrell taken by Parsons. There's a real eagerness about the Knights this afternoon, getting up off the line, putting all sorts of pressure on the ball carriers for the Storm. Orford trying to find a gap, flips it out the back to Geyer. He found Marcus Pye, who's stopped by Badiris. He keeps trying. Swain to Orford. Flick pass back to Geyer, but once again there are numbers there for the Knights. Swain to Orford. Fires a quick pass to Lavia. Bella's there, found Moala. They created the extra man. They get their second try of the afternoon. Moala finishes it off, and it's 36 points to 10. The Knights lead the Storm. Quick hands across the back line. Orford a lovely pass.
Well, it was great work there by Orford. It's all too late though. They dragged in the numbers. Stephen Bell, good hands to Moala. The Knights were complaining about a forward pass, but I think that was okay.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the final pass. And of course, the reason it was created was because the Storm did work 2 or 3 plays straight up the middle, which dragged the Knights' defence in a little, created the overlap.
And while that try was being scored, we've got Matt Gidley down on the right-hand side of the field. Looks to be struggling a little bit with a leg injury.
Orford from this western touchline. Hooks this one, and it will remain a 26-point difference for the time being. Here is Matt Gidley, limping off the field, of course. Has had a number of leg injuries in his time here with the Newcastle Knights since coming into first grade. Not a great sight seeing him limp off. I'm sure that will cause a few nervous moments in the coach's box for the Newcastle Knights staff. They've been coasting for the time being. Andrew Johns looks on. He'll be happy about seeing that. Robbie O'Davis, though, gets us back underway. And it's Marcus Pye who will bring it out. They would like to limit the damage here, the Newcastle Knights, as far as letting the Melbourne Storm add any more points. For and against could be very vital, separating teams in the top 8 once we get to finals time. Bill Harrigan has found a knock on here by the Knights. The Storm will hang on to it.
Off Newcastle knock on. When you try the pass, when he's got to touch the ball,
Bowden is.
The place to be in Hamilton, the Boulevard on Beaumont.
There it is. Off Bill Peden. Now Lavia. Dyer takes it himself. Swung to ground. Strong tackle from Rudder. Forced the ball loose as Dyer hit the deck. The handling continues to haunt the Melbourne Storm here this afternoon. Parsons now. To O'Davis. Away to Marquardt on the outside for Albert. He's got Kennedy running around the outside of him. Couldn't link up with the second rower. Now Grief. He's 25 out. Badiris. Slipped into first receiver mode with Johns off the field. Here he is again. Juggles this one. Fires it back on the inside for McDougall. It was a little bit too simple, wasn't it? Badiris got a bad pass from dummy half. Had to juggle it. And then just fired almost a no-look pass on the inside for McDougall. And the Storm had stopped.
Well, that was just explosive speed there by Adam McDougall. There was nothing happening. Badiris gets the ball. He just passes it inside to McDougall. And then he takes off. Great leg speed, leg drive by the man they call Mad Dog. A 10-metre burst and scores a great try.
Well, it certainly was. Wasn't the best pass for Badiris to have to take. But the Storm players, well, they're out on their feet. There's two big men there, and McDougall just too big, too fast.
Bill Peden it is, who will have the chance to convert this one with Johns off the field. We'll spend the final moments of this game watching on from the sideline, given an early shower, so to speak, by his coach. 20 of 34 in his career. Not a bad fill-in kicker when you need somebody at short notice. And he shows why by piloting this one inside the right upright. 42 points to 10. This trade of big score lines continues. 6 games last week out of 7 were blowouts. A couple of big score lines already this weekend, and of course their biggest previous margin was 32 points between the Knights and the Melbourne Storm since Melbourne came into it in 1999. That was also here at Marathon last year in their first encounter in the 2000 Premiership. 38-6 the Knights won on that occasion. And once again 42-10, we've got a similar scoreline here. 5 minutes and a few seconds left. I'm sure they're thinking about extending it though. Dougal has spent a lot of time around the middle of the field this afternoon as Grief goes up towards the halfway line. Peden gives it off to Badiris. He kicks it. Strong and long behind Geyer. In fact, it will be well too big. And the Storm, like the Eagles, amongst those teams who keep bouncing either in or out of the top 8. And it's going to be a nervous last 7 rounds for those couple of teams, with also the Dragons thrown into that, and the Warriors still a chance, of course, of being amongst the finals teams. Bowden now, almost back to the halfway line. Robinson. Swain from dummy half to Warford. Straight through them again. He's made a couple of line breaks this afternoon. An infield kick. Getting back there to clean up. Badiris couldn't get to it. Here's Lavia. Flings the pass backwards. Straight to Sean Rudder. And he finds Julian Bailey on his second long run of the afternoon. Picked up by Rorty. They got to him. Now O'Davis finds Kennedy. He gives it off to Albert. They hem him in Kearney is there with the help of Aaron Moore. Some lovely counter-attack this afternoon by the Newcastle Knights. O'Brien takes it up. They're 30 out. The Melbourne Storm literally are out on their feet at the moment. The last thing they needed was to backpedal the best part of 70 metres after going so close to scoring themselves. Simpson standing, offloading for Badiris. He keeps running. Here's Bailey, back to Badiris. Oh, scored, Danny, score! Terrific try, what a great weekend. His second try of the game. What a young player he is, playing at halfback now for Andrew Johns. And it's 46 points to 10.
Well, you mentioned it, Warren, capping off a wonderful weekend for Badiris, playing for his country in his debut test match on Friday night. The Knights have just had too many attacking options, too much skill here this afternoon for the Storm. They've created good second phase play, their forwards have gone forward, and they've got some wonderfully skilled players in this team. A guy that can go from hooker to halfback and fit in equally as well. You just see him there drawing and passing the man, Julian Bailey. He's been great since he's come on. A great dummy. McDougall was lining up for his hat-trick. Guy went with him, fell for the dummy. And I'm sure Badiris will savour this try and savour the weekend.
Well, at the moment, in their last two games, they've scored 90 points. The Newcastle Knights make it 92 as Peden converts the Badiris try. 44 against the Broncos last Friday night, now 48 against the Melbourne Storm, when they've scored 16 tries in these two games.
Well, it's a big performance, and of course the Melbourne Storm would be disappointed in their own game today, and the next 2 weeks doesn't get any better. They've got to play Parramatta, and then they take on the Brisbane Broncos. So the Melbourne Storm, very important loss here this afternoon.
It was always going to be a big test. These series of 3 games for the Storm, as though Davis goes down the middle of the field. Wouldn't win last week down there at Colonial. 64 points they scored, but they knew they had 3 big games coming up. Newcastle, followed by Parramatta, followed by Brisbane. 3 of the teams in the top 4. Well, they've fallen at the first hurdle. Davis, away to Albert.
I think the key to the Melbourne Storm, they might have fell at the first hurdle, Warren, but the next 2 weeks is vitally important for their season. They need to bounce back and bounce back strongly, otherwise in a fortnight's time they might be well out of the reckoning for a top 8 position.
High in the air goes for Fida Moala. Very good take with McDougall screaming through, looking for that hat-trick. The final seconds will count by. It will be a long old trip to Melbourne for the Storm as Bye goes from dummy half. Not much to talk about for them in this second half. And came backwards there off Julian Bailey, straight to Marcus Bye. Play on, says Harrigan. And now Lavia gives it back for Bowden. Here's Geyer. Now Rorty goes forward. Standing, found Swain. He will give it to Matt Rua, who hung on to it. He's got Moala on his outside. Will take the tackle though. McDougall determined to push him backwards. And this will do us. Rorty, chip over the top for himself. It will sit up for him as well. Still going. Not a bad piece of play from the front rower. He finds Matty Orford. Oh well, if they're going to finish, they may as well finish on an up note. There it is. Orford scores a good try. The chip and regather from Ben Rorty.
Well, Ben Rorty will be talking about this for the next 10 years. The second rower, front rower, the siren had gone. He put the chip kick over the top, and what about the bounce? Just sat up for him, straight over the top of O'Davis. Great work by the front rower, finding Matty Orford out sprints Ben Kennedy to put some respectability back in this scoreline, but it was all too late for the Storm side. Look at that. Front rower, what skills they've got these days. Support play there of Orford. He's tried hard again this afternoon, but it just hasn't been good enough against this classy Newcastle side.
As Matt Orford lines this up, it will be of some concern to Newcastle that Robbie Davis has run over the top there by Ben Rorty. He was a little bit ginger, getting back to his feet afterwards as well, remembering that Matthew Gidley limped off the field a little while ago as well. Orford makes the final play of the game. That will end it here at Marathon. A final score line of 48 points to 16 they've won by. The two Australian teammates from a couple of nights ago, Kearns and Johns, shaking hands there. Rodney Howe shaking his head at the skills of Andrew Johns, who are outplayed this afternoon pretty much right across the paddock. Just an awesome performance. What a comeback from Ben Kennedy. The first 3 times he touched the ball in this game, he dropped each and every pass. And he certainly came back in a big way. Scored 2 tries. In fact, the Knights had 3 players who picked up a double each. McDougall, Badiris and Kennedy. Kearns, congratulatory hug from Ben Kennedy as well. And what a week they've had. 44 points against the Broncos, 48 points against the Storm. Adam McDougall, part of that Australian victory against New Zealand on Friday night as well.
They were just too strong all over the park this afternoon, Warren, the Newcastle side. See there, Johns and McDougall backing up for the test on Friday night, but I thought it was their forwards. Glenn Grief, Badiris, Parsons, Simpson, Kennedy, Peden. They were outstanding. They set a great platform for the likes of Johns to work off, and they've got some quality players out wide, and they just took full advantage of that this afternoon.
Well, the first time these two sides played this year, Newcastle scored 30 points in the first half at Colonial Stadium against Melbourne. In the second half this afternoon, they've also scored 30. One man who was a big part of those 30 points joins Brett Kenny. He's with Andrew Johns.
Well, Joey, backing up after the test match, was it pretty tough, or was it mentally or physically?
A bit of both, mate. Our itinerary, we left there 4 o'clock in the morning after the game, so after the game we had a feed, and by the time we had that and got back to the motel, it was like 1:30 in the morning, so sort of stayed up and watched the video, and knocks you about a bit, and it was really tired today. I think the other boys were, but we come out and got the job done, especially against Melbourne. That's a pretty good score.
It was a little bit scrappy early on in the first half, both sides making mistakes, especially in the opposition territory, and you guys were able to come up with a try off one of the Storm's mistakes.
Yeah, we spoke about it at half time. I think we got a bit excited and tried to play before we sort of put the platform down. So tried to get through our sets and playing the way we did, and I thought we'd come out in the second half and started well. We went forward and kicked long, and just sort of, we don't really need to create too much on this side to score. So once we get forward, we get second phase play, and we just got so much skill.
And just before half-time, the last 5 minutes, you scored 2 tries. That sort of puts you back on track again. Yeah,
mate, it did, and we didn't want them to score early and give them a sniff and get them all excited. So we tried to put them to bed, and we done that, and I thought we wrapped the game up there.
Well, congratulations on your game, and congratulations on the form of the side.
Thanks, mate. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Joey.
Thanks, mate.
Also with me is a fine winger, Adam McDougall. Adam, it was just one of those games. You're sort of very slow to start with, but once you scored those two tries in 5 minutes, sort of went on with it from there.
Yeah, mate, we're always going to be hard to beat at home, and we've come out of a bit of a slump with not having Joey there, but you have your ebbs and flows throughout the season, and with Joey back now, we're on a bit of a roll, so hopefully we don't peak too early.
I think the key to it was that you dominated the ruck area, especially the play of the ball. You had very quick play of the balls. That allowed Badiris to get out, make a few yards, and also get away some good, clean passes.
We've got to give full credit to our forward pack. We've come up against a pack in Melbourne full of internationals, and to the no-names in our pack, full credit to them. This year a lot of people thought that was going to be our underbelly, our forwards, and they're proving that they're not the soft part of our team, and they're going forward for us.
Well, it was a great victory, and let's hope for the Newcastle fans there's more to come.
Yeah, hopefully, mate, and just looking forward to topping off a good year.
Well, thanks for talking to me, Adam.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Well, the way they're playing, there should be plenty more to come. We'll take a break. We've got some more to come. After the break, we'll wrap it all up from Marathon Stadium. 48 points to 16 at full time. Kennedy scored 2, as did McDougall and Badiris. Hughes and Albert scoring. Johns kicked 6 goals and Peden kicked 2 by Moala and Orford were the try scorers for the Melbourne Storm, and Orford kicked a couple of goals. A 32-point difference, matching the biggest difference between these two sides since Melbourne Storm came into the National Rugby League. That'll do it for Marathon Stadium this afternoon. On behalf of Laurie Daly and Brett Kenny, and in fact all the Fox Sports crew, I'm Warren Smith, and until we see you next time, it's goodbye from Newcastle.
This has been a Fox Sports production for the National Rugby League Partnership.